This video is sponsored by Incogni. Today's video doesn't really have much to do with my usual topics at all. It's just, sometimes I get curious and I want to go exploring. Today we're wandering through Crystal Palace Park in South London in the hope of finding something marvellous. Today we're walking with dinosaurs. These are the Crystal Palace dinosaurs. Well, technically most of them aren't dinosaurs, and Crystal Palace doesn't exist anymore, but let's not spoil a good day out. They date back to the 1850s and are quite historically significant. Not so much for what they can teach us about the depths of prehistory, but what they can teach us about the Victorians. We're going to go back a couple of centuries. By the 19th century, dinosaur fossils had been known about for a long time, usually mistaken for the bones of giants or dragons. In the early 19th century, though, there was something of a fad for geology, and both serious academics and enthusiastic amateurs began to take the things they found in the earth rather more seriously. One of those people was Dr. Gideon Mantell. In 1822, his wife found some fossil teeth in a quarry in Sussex, and he started looking at them, really looking at them. And he realized that what he was looking at was not really like anything ever identified before. It looked reptilian, but huge. The creature would gain the name of Iguanodon, literally iguana tooth. But that was in the future. When he first presented his discovery to the scientific establishment, it was dismissed. The teeth were obviously taken from a rhinoceros or a fish. It wouldn't be until 1825 that Mantell's giant teeth were taken seriously. You see, the boom in geology brought controversy. Everyone knew that the Earth was just under 6,000 years old and created in 7 days because it said so in the Bible. Yet the discoveries of people like Mantell and Mary Anning, who had discovered the Ichthyosaurus and Plesiosaurus, seemed to say otherwise. Geologists were now telling us that the Earth was millions, if not billions of years old, incomprehensible gulfs of time. And didn't the Bible say that there was no death until the expulsion of Adam and Eve from Eden? If so, how come so many of these creatures they were digging up appeared to be carnivores? Some simply dismissed the geologists. Some turned against the church. And some tried to reconcile the two. Sir Richard Owen was one of those who attempted to make the Bible and the geological record fit together. To him, these creatures that Mantell had discovered were obviously the various monsters described in the Bible. In 1841 he coined a name for these reptiles that reflected this: Dinosauria, or dinosaurs, a name meaning terrible lizards. This despite the fact that of the 3 known species of dinosaur at the time, 2 were known to be herbivores. Owen was also the one who determined that the term dinosaur should only apply to land animals, to the delight of pedants everywhere. Owen was much praised for his work, and he was happy to accept credit as the father of the study of dinosaurs. That's because the Bible wasn't the only agenda he had. Sir Richard Owen's other agenda was, in fact, Sir Richard Owen. He had a nasty habit of taking credit for other people's work. He did his best to suppress Mantell's studies, allegedly even going so far as using his influence to prevent Mantell from getting his work published. Mantell's sidelining an attempt to get credit would ultimately destroy his marriage and leave him in relative poverty. That seems like an appropriately sombre moment to bring up today's sponsor, Incogni. So I was strolling through South London the other day when suddenly, "Rawr, I'm a dinosaur!" Using the internet without Incogni, I said, "Sounds like you're the dinosaur." "I know, I just said." You see, when you're online, your data is constantly being harvested by sites you visit and sold on to data brokers. From there it gets sold on to governments and corporations. And this is before we've even got onto the risks of a data breach putting your information in the hands of criminals, which is apparently quite high. Data brokers legally have to remove your data if requested, but they don't make it easy, and there are hundreds of them. Incogni is an automated service that does all the hard work for you, and keeps you updated on the progress of your requests. The first 100 people to click the link in the description below and enter the code HAZARD can get 60% off. Let's help make data brokerage extinct. I find that joke in very poor taste. Incogni. In 1851, the Crystal Palace was built in Hyde Park for the Great Exhibition. Following this, it was purchased and moved to Sydenham Hill, where it was hoped that it would form the basis of a massive entertainment venue. I have a more in-depth video on the palace itself on the way, which will also talk about the station. As one of the additional attractions, Benjamin Waterhouse Hawkins was commissioned to create sculptures of prehistoric animals. These weren't just some Victorian equivalent of Jurassic Park. They represented the cutting edge of science. But indirectly, they also served a more philosophical purpose. The existence of evolution was seen by many as proof that life was progressing ever upwards towards utopia. Evolution is of course more complicated than that, but it was a popular view in Britain at the time, where the empire was at its height and new technologies were appearing all the time. Come to think of it, of course, British and British Imperial society was also more complicated than that, but that's a whole other debate. I'm not opening that can of worms here. So, a prehistoric garden was planned. Joseph Paxton, who had designed the Crystal Palace and was a gardener by profession, was in charge. As well as the bygone beasties, the park included geological exhibits like this cliff face here. The actual dinosaurs were something of an afterthought. Hawkins originally only planned to include mammals. He decided to add reptiles and turned to the greatest authority on dinosaurs at the time, Sir Richard Owen. 3 species were chosen: the Iguanodon, the Megalosaurus, and the Hylaeosaurus, those being the only 3 known at the time. The Hylaeosaurus was positioned facing away from the viewer because no complete skull was known at the time. Ironically, the current head is a replica, and the original is displayed quite prominently above the rest. Incidentally, even now there is only 1 known specimen of Hylaeosaurus. In 1853 a banquet was held in Owen's honour in the incomplete Iguanodon mould, which I suspect would have been a lot more cramped than even this image suggests. Scientific progress means getting someone's elbow in your soup. The first sculptures were unveiled in 1854 and were a popular attraction. But they were expensive, and the Crystal Palace Company put the kibosh on any later editions. We could have had a woolly mammoth. But these days the sculptures are perhaps most famous, if not notorious, for the fact that they are wrong. There were few remains to work with, and much of what Hawkins was working with was assumption. He and Owen worked on the basis that the dinosaurs must be structured broadly like lizards. However, even before the sculptures were planned, Mantell had announced, based upon more recent findings, that the Iguanodon was not the lumpen beastie he and Owen had assumed it to be, but rather had smaller forelimbs and, it was believed, stood like a kangaroo. Owen, however, did not like the idea of being corrected by someone he viewed as a lesser scientist, i.e. one who was not Sir Richard Owen. Mantell's version conflicted with Owen's biblical monsters, and Mantell had conveniently passed away in 1852, so the weird rhino-looking Iguanodon was what we got in the end. Incidentally, it would later be discovered that the kangaroo posture was also wrong, and that what Mantell had assumed was a horn was in fact a thumb. Over the decades, more and more discoveries were made, and the Crystal Palace animals looked more and more ridiculous. This and the declining fortunes of the Crystal Palace itself meant that maintenance went by the wayside. Over the years, the exhibits decayed. The effects of age and weather caused significant damage, with some sculptures even going missing. It was only in the second half of the 20th century that their importance was recognised. They were listed at Grade 2 in 1972 and at Grade 1 in 2007, which puts them on a par with places like the Palace of Westminster. Restoration began in 2001 and continues to this day, now under the supervision of the Friends of Crystal Palace Dinosaurs, a charitable organisation. I'll put a link in the description below. Their most recent success was the installation of this replica Paleotherium. The Paleotheria had suffered particularly badly over the years. Today, the creatures of Crystal Palace are once again an attraction, now free for anyone to see. It's openly acknowledged that they aren't much cop as representations of prehistoric life, but nevertheless they do have an educational purpose. They teach us that science is ever moving forward, but also that it can be made to serve an agenda. Lessons that never cease to be important. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then please do leave a like and perhaps subscribe for more. I'd like to thank my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon, and here on YouTube for your always generous support. You are the misplaced thumb to my Iguanodon. Thanks also to Incogni for sponsoring today's video. Click on the link in the description below to take advantage of their offer. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.